How's the morning? It's still, really still. It's not as cold as it has been. We're gonna get to a good vantage point about the right time and get to work. Tove and I, we jetted up this hill to get in a good vantage point. We just jetted up here like a couple of hooligans. And as soon as we got up here, I peek over, it's a friggin' big buck right in the bottom. Couple 100 yards or something, but the wind sucks. He's like right over here. We were just coming to glass, and he's right there. So we sat down and we're gonna glass all this other stuff, which is nice, and hopefully they go somewhere better where we're not so pinned down. So we'll see what happens. Up here we glassed up some deer, and there's two really nice bucks. One's definitely the biggest, but then there's two 4x4s, 3x3, I think a couple smaller ones, so, and then a bunch of does. A lot of rut action, and they're right out over here. So Tove's gonna stay here and spot, and I'm gonna loop way around and get on the back side of the hill by them. Just kind of get in position, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna leave the camera here, but I'm gonna film on my phone what I can, and hopefully we can get a crack at that buck. This morning at about 7:30 I left here where Tove stayed. Right now it's 11:30, so it's been 4 hours, and I went up and around this big mountain behind me. It's real steep on the backside, and I came over there down through the bottom, and for a little bit the deer actually saw me. My line was a little low, but I fixed it and came up higher. Then I went all the way up that steep right side, got on that knob, and then I put on my sneaks, my stocking shoes, and I had an option. I thought the deer were straight in front of me, so I started stalking straight down, and then I heard like coughing or something, and I should have gone to the left. They were to my left, and they were bleating and walking around, and I was close, but not close enough because I chose the wrong line. But then the big buck chased off a coos deer buck, and I watched that with my naked eye. They didn't know I was there, but luckily the whole group kind of moved over to the next ridge. So then I walked up that highest ridge out there, you could see, and I got and started looping around because they were on that next finger that comes down. And by the time I saw them, they were actually on that next further finger where it's like kind of two saddles with that hump in the middle. They were right there, and I was on the side of that grassy big hill. And right then I realized, you know, basically it was like, well, I'm totally stuck because I am very exposed, and the deer are, you know, right, I could see them. They couldn't see me because I was real low, but Then like a light bulb went off with the wind, and I said, you know what, I can actually go all the way around the highest hill and come up the other side of that hill where the deer are. And man, I looped around, and it was beautiful country back there. It's like a bowl that no one sees. It's friggin' gorgeous. And I stalked this really, really steep hill, came over the ridge, and sure enough, there's a 3x3 buck bedded right next to me, 50, a little less, it was like 45 yards. And he was separate from the group a little bit, and he stood up and just stood broadside in the open for me at 45 yards. I easily could have smoked him 45 yards. And then he ran off, which actually kind of worked out because he didn't take any of the other deer with him. So then I got on that knob that's in the middle up there on the skyline, and I could see a doe, and then I crept around. That massive buck was standing there at it was like 45 yards, but he was facing away from me. And I was on this cliff, and I thought to myself, if I could just get one step, just one step, I'll be higher and have more shooting lanes. And I started to make my step, and there was a doe looking at me like a couple hundred yards away. He was at 45, and I think because the doe was looking at me, I didn't make any noise, and he was looking away from me, but he turned around, and rather than turning broadside, he walked away, and then a doe came through broadside. He came through broadside real close, and so I drew the bow, and they started going diagonally past me and like getting further because they were going diagonal. So I couldn't let down to range or do anything, because if I did that, he would be too far. So I just grunted at him. He stopped, was kind of quartered away, and I let the shot go, and I ended up being about 10 yards off on my estimate. He was, yeah, anyways, I was about 10 yards off, and missed him. So that's all she wrote. He ran off, but it was absolutely awesome. It was a giant buck, no question. He's actually bigger than I thought in person, and I really hope we find him again, because he's gorgeous, and hopefully we have a chance at him again. But awesome day. I don't feel bad or discouraged or anything. It was just an archery incident where I was not able to range, and I guessed wrong. So that's it. That's kind of the breakdown, and we'll see what happens next. Talk to you guys soon.